Probably salmonella and food poisoning. The thing is, like, all these people in the raw meat crowd who are talking about, like, never getting sick eating raw meat, they probably have gotten food poisoning. If you... Like, food poisoning can be pretty mild. You can get diarrhea, vomiting, flu-like symptoms, shit like that, and a lot of people just think they get a cold or something. So I can guarantee you, all of these people who eat raw meat, they've gotten food poisoning, probably fairly regularly, like occasionally. They just don't know it's food poisoning or they deny it. And Sv3rige almost died from eating raw bone marrow. He got a campylobacteria infection. So, I don't know what the fuck this guy's deal is.
As requested, I'm going to review a video called What Happens If You Only Eat Raw Meat?
Have you ever heard of the raw meat diet? That's right.
I wouldn't call it a diet because diets are man-made. Raw meat is simply the natural food that humans eat in nature.
A diet that consists of eating raw meat all day, every day.
Yeah, that's everyday life in nature.
Most of us have been taught to...
Yeah, that's why literally every human society, except for one exception, I believe, the North Sentinelese. I think the North Sentinelese are the only like uncontacted tribes people known to not use fire. I think they're the only society that doesn't use fire. And they're extremely isolated on that one little island. But every human society uses fire and cooks, so that should probably tell you something.
To avoid raw meat like it's the plague. But is it really that bad for you? These people seem to be doing all right, I guess.
Taking impossible debate requests, debate Putin on the war in Ukraine. I'd rather have an MMA match with him. Maybe I'll set up a MMA match with Putin.
What would...
The Asians, probably Koreans, they do it for views. It's not as if that's the only thing that they eat.
Would be the best way to eat raw meat? How would it affect your body? And what are the benefits of this diet? This is What If.
Parasites. Bacteria. Food poisoning. Benefits, none.
And here's what would happen if you only ate raw meat. People on the raw meat diet say that they eat it for health reasons because it's more nutritious. After all, some studies suggest that the process of cooking meat may reduce the content of certain vitamins and minerals.
Yes, it has been proven many times.
Yeah, but it becomes more bioavailable. Even animals that don't typically eat cooked food, they have a huge preference for eating cooked food. Even animals that don't eat meat, you can feed them cooked meat and they'll eat it. So even wild animals have a huge preference for cooked food.
God. Looks disgusting. And then there is the animal cruelty.
Yeah, it is horrifically disgusting. I don't know how anybody can eat like this. It's just fucking horrible. What's funny too is, like, you can look at these communities of people who eat nothing but meat, including like the raw meat community. They all talk about how they start stinking. Like they have really bad body odor. Their shit stink worse. They have issues with like itchy, rashy skin, heart palpitations, like muscle twitch issues because they get dehydrated from only eating meat and it fucks up their electrolyte balance. Like all these fucking nasty problems, and then they just keep doing it. They're so stupid.
If you cook the meat well done, then over 90% of the B vitamins will be gone, which means that even cooked meat eaters can still get a B12 deficiency just like vegans. Vitamin D is destroyed, 35% I believe in one study, and a lot of the nutrients, even the fat-soluble vitamins are destroyed.
Raw meat enthusiasts report having more energy and a boost in sex drive.
Duh.
But none of this is supported by overwhelming evidence. And even if it were, would the...
Why would you need any other evidence than literally what happens to a human body when you eat raw meat? What other evidence could be better?
By the way, this guy almost died from eating raw bone marrow. So, like, if we're going to go by evidence, I don't know. I've never seen somebody almost die from eating a banana, just personally. Do you also find zombie movies ridiculous? Some of them can be.
Human beings eating raw meat and having all of these benefits is the best kind of study you can possibly have.
They were not at war.
Let's keep watching this. I guess I'll do my sit-ups while we react to this.
It's like the people who said that my ex-vegan interviews don't really have any meaning. It's the best study you can possibly have. I interviewed around 100 ex-vegans, and all of them had very similar health issues.
Do you understand selection bias, Sv3rige?
I did the best study ever done on veganism. I'm not joking. There's no better study out there.
Good effects outweigh all the bad ones. There's only one way to find out. Let's give it a try.
He literally doesn't understand what selection bias is.
Before we get into the effects that an all raw meat diet would have on your body, let's look at how you would eat it in the first place. You would have to cut up the raw meat into small, bite-sized pieces. Human teeth struggle to break down raw meat. They're almost useless.
That is so incredibly wrong. Everybody who eats raw meat knows that if you compare a piece of raw meat to a piece of cooked meat, which is dry and tough, then you will of course have way less of an issue eating the raw part. Raw is natural, raw is always best, raw is softest, and so on. It's just common sense.
We don't have the sharp canine teeth to chop and slice through raw meat.
It's not needed to slice or to chew meat or anything. They don't even chew meat anyway. It is needed as a weapon for these animals. These animals bite you, okay? They don't use the teeth to eat raw meat. Have you never looked at how a dog actually eats their food, or a lion, whatever?
Our teeth are meant for grinding food.
So
if you were to bite a piece of raw game, you would struggle to chew it. It would be like gum.
Actually, a lot of tribes have been seen to cut off the meat and simply swallow it whole, seeing as raw meat is juicy and slides through your throat very easily, whereas cooked meat can get stuck in your throat, and that's why you can actually choke to death on cooked food in general.
And you'd just be chewing forever. And
that's so incredibly wrong. You chew on cooked meat. Jesus. It's just... Somebody makes this stupid video without having any kind of experience with raw meat whatsoever. At least try it before making this kind of a video.
It doesn't get any better once you swallow it. Because eating raw meat can do long-term damage to your body. I don't know about you, but I could sure go for some cooked meat.
What kind of damage? Is he actually going to mention it, or just...
Sv3rige almost died from eating raw meat, or raw bone marrow, so I don't know how the fuck he can honestly say that. Also, why does he think you're more likely to choke on cooked meat? Like, it's easier to bite through cooked meat.
Make Hollywood modern thoughts on Frank Hassel and perspective philosophy.
I'm not gonna mod anybody. But, what's it called? Frank Hassel is funny. He's definitely good at trolling. I think he goes a little over the top with harassing people, but it is still hilarious to watch. Perspective philosophy is a nice guy, but he's a little crazy. He's just completely incapable of debating certain topics that he has, like, a weird emotional investment in. But, like, he's a nice guy overall. Thanks for the donation, though, Fires.
Just empty words. Yeah, go for the cooked meat with actual carcinogens, which have been proven to damage the body. Nothing in raw meat has ever been proven to damage the body because, drumroll,
Yeah,
you are
from
made out of
salmonella,
raw meat.
listeria,
Oh, really?
E. coli.
So wait, this is all raw meat, which means that I am made out of raw meat. How can it be bad for you if you're made out of it? Literally, how does that make any sense? When you're eating a piece of animal flesh, you're eating basically the same thing that you are made out of. How can it then be bad for you? Of course it's not.
My God.
That's why it's much easier to grow muscle and whatnot when you're eating raw meat. Of course.
Right about now?
Like, what?
Let's be honest though. Raw meat?
Like, sorry. Does Sv3rige think every animal on Earth should eat raw meat because they're made out of raw meat? Like, should cows eat raw dead animals? Should deer eat raw meat? Should rabbits eat raw? Like, they're all made out of raw meat. Oh my God, what a moron. Fucking stupid. If you're made out of that thing, then it's good for you. Okay.
Versus cooked meat? I know what I'm picking. I love the barbecue too much. In fact, I'm making some beef jerky right now. Let's go look. You can't smell this, but it's the smell of beef and smoke. It's hickory smoke, and it's eye of the round that I'm making. Oh my God, there it is. And it looks like it's just about done. So
It's all fine if you want to eat jerky, if you're on the way or whatever, it's not going to kill you, but you're destroying all of the water-soluble vitamins and others also. So if your diet was made out of it, then you would be deficient eventually. Eventually. It could take super long.
make this quick. I make really good beef jerky, if I do say so myself, and I've made so much of it over the years, and people tend to really like it that I actually thought about going into business with it, starting full-time jerky business. Isn't a lie, but
I would support that over everything that the vegans are putting out, or really most processed food.
I'm not going to. I'm going to keep doing the What If series, Voice of What If. But I did go ahead and make my own little beef jerky website. There it is, the best beef jerky you will ever eat, and that is no lie. I wish you could taste it.
This guy's a fucking loser.
You know,
Good businessman.
yeah, I could talk about barbecue and smoked meat all day long, but that's not what's on the menu today. Instead, we have this, raw meat. Not only does it not look as appealing as cooked meat,
That is supposed to look more appealing. Yes, to a slave's senses, it could, because that's what you grew up with, that's all that you know. I understand that. I don't blame you, but
Wild animals have a preference for cooked meat. So, you can find deer, wolves, rabbits, like carnivorous and herbivorous animals. If you cook meat, they will eat it. Animals, wild animals who have no socialization or culture around certain foods, they will have a preferential taste for cooked food. So, even meat. So that's just demonstrably false.
for me, the raw meat looks way more appealing. A juicy piece of red raw meat, I don't know what else could be more appealing to a human being. It's the best.
but it can also cause you.
That looks amazing. I want to bite into that. It looks so yummy, way better than the cooked one, which just looked like there's a lot of carcinogens on it. It doesn't have its natural color, taste, smell, or anything anymore.
You a lot of trouble. Undercooked or raw meat and poultry can be contaminated with harmful bacteria such as E. coli, salmonella, and Yersinia. If there are bacteria in the meat, it can make you really sick.
No, that has never been proven. Bacteria has never been proven to be in any way bad for you. But yes, raw meat can make you sick. Cooked meat can also. And the raw vegetables make you more sick more often than any.
He almost died eating raw bone marrow because he got a bacterial infection. He almost died. How can he say this when he admittedly almost died?
anybody eating raw meat and so on. Any animal products in general, it's always the spinach, broccoli, and so on that make people sick. You can actually only get sick from raw meat if the meat is sick, as in the...
Yeah, so certain vegetables can end up getting contaminated with either salmonella or E. coli. That comes from the animal products industry. Like, plants don't shit. They don't produce E. coli or salmonella.
The animal was sick. The animal is going to get sick because of toxic medication, over medication, and an unnatural diet. If you do eat the organs of animals, then really watch out where the meat comes from.
Usually this includes diarrhea, stomach
What a
cramps,
wacko.
vomiting, and a fever.
All of those are symptoms of food poisoning. Poisoning means toxicity. It only means that. It had never anything to do with bacteria. It has never been proven. It doesn't help anybody if you spread this.
Bacteria produce toxins, Sv3rige. What the fuck?
This kind of information without any proof whatsoever.
Like, certain poisons are made from fucking bacteria. The Botox that you inject into your face to get rid of wrinkles, that's botulism poison, and it's produced by bacteria.
And if you feel fine after eating your first raw meat dish, well, just wait a little bit before passing judgment. After you've eaten the bacteria, it can take up to 24 hours to experience.
If you have eaten the bacteria, then your stomach acid is going to kill most of it, because the pH of our stomach acid is higher, as in stronger, lower in numbers than that of cats and dogs. For
That's not true.
example, this has been studied and proven.
Yeah, no, that's not true. Stomach pH varies considerably. If you look at fasted stomach pH, so no food, I think sometimes our stomach pH can be lower than a cat or a dog's. But if you actually eat food, no, that's not true.
And they can last for many days, depending on the type of bacteria. If you still want to proceed with the diet, you'll need to be careful of what kind of meat you'll be putting in your body. You might want to stay away from chicken, because it tends to contain more harmful bacteria, like salmonella.
No, again, that's not true. Salmonella creates the B vitamins in your intestines, for example, and they are there.
Where the fuck did he get that idea?
To fight off the toxins in your intestines. That's why salmonella repopulates in your gut quickly after you've been food poisoned, and that's why you will...
Where did he get this idea? What?
find high amounts of it in your stool if they do a test. The reason you're going to get sick from chicken nowadays, not naturally, not from wild chicken, is because they are medicated so heavily, their bodies are so toxic, that even most of the eggs nowadays are insanely toxic and can cause food poisoning. But again, it's food poisoning, toxicity.
Since chicken has a more
He is out of his fucking mind.
porous structure, it's easier for bacteria to penetrate.
Again, like, what I don't understand is he almost died from a Campylobacteria infection from eating raw bone marrow. So he's saying, oh yeah, you can't get sick eating raw meat, and then he almost died from it.
Deep into the meat. That's the reason why when you're cooking chicken, you can't just sear the surface to kill all the pathogens. Also, to reduce your chances of eating bacteria-filled meat, you should only eat locally sourced and organic meats that have not been overly processed. And that would quickly start to get really expensive. But according to raw meat
Who the hell is that guy? Jesus, he's crazy, eating raw liver, so much raw liver.
enthusiasts, it would all be worth it.
Sv3rige making a joke saying he's not crazy. He committed a mass stabbing at his high school, was institutionalized for it. He then became a breatharian and he thought he could just get all the energy he needs from the sun. So he stopped eating, developed anorexia. He was hospitalized again. Then he claimed during that whole experience, he was hallucinating and fantasizing about killing and eating people. And he said he actually tried to bite and kill one of the doctors that was helping him at this anorexia clinic so that he could kill and eat him. He ended up getting his girlfriend, Luna, pregnant. There was this whole thing. People don't know for sure if he punched her in the face. He probably did, but he blamed it on a mugger who tried to steal her money. He probably was the one who punched her in the face. He did a live stream the next day, and his girlfriend was acting funny around him. So he was probably the one who did it. He later ended up getting jealous because he had to have roommates in this house that he was renting out in Romania. He got jealous that his wife was talking to somebody who spoke Dutch because that's her native language. He threatened to stab everybody and kill them with a knife. They all left. And that's when his girlfriend broke up with him. He threatened to commit suicide to try to get Luna, his ex-girlfriend, back. She felt bad for him, and then he beat her and forced her to cut her hair. And then she left and went back to the Netherlands to live with her parents. He then started stalking her and hired hitmen to kill her. And now he's fled to Asia, and he's claiming he's perfectly mentally sane. Like, nothing about him is normal or sane in any way. This guy has serious mental problems and is fucked beyond belief, and that's why he eats what he's eating.
From what country very Sv3rige?
I think it's next to Sweden. I can't remember where. Let me see. Wait. Latvia. Yeah, he is originally from Latvia. Thanks for the donation, Sam.
They say that
Good buddy, though.
once your body gets used to eating raw meat, you'll get a lot more nutrients and protein than you would from the cooked alternatives. In one serving of raw ground beef, you get a whole 17 grams of protein. However, there is such a thing as too much protein. Research shows that eating more than 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily can cause symptoms of dehydration, nausea, irritability, headache, and indigestion. It can also increase your risk.
Indigestion from too much protein? What is this guy talking about? Where's the proof for any of his claims?
Risk of severe health problems such as cardiovascular disease, liver and kidney injuries, and even death. Maybe spending your days...
Haleman, he was trying an all-meat diet and I think a raw meat diet. He ended up getting hospitalized for a severe bacterial infection. And he actually went on a vegan diet temporarily to heal from the bacterial infection. And then he went back to eating raw meat, and then he ended up having some sort of issue with his kidneys because there was too much protein in his blood, and he had to go to the hospital again. And that's where he stopped eating so much meat. So, yeah, like, that happened to a guy. Like, it's funny how Sv3rige will use, like, these anecdotal... instances of vegans saying they quit and they couldn't, keep up with the diet. And then when people have to quit, like, the carnivore diet and eating raw meat, like, he just never acknowledges that. It's so fucking retarded.
Eating raw meat isn't the best idea. If you're going to go for a raw diet, it's best to also include raw vegetables and to get nutrients from other foods.
The vegetables that we eat nowadays are all...
Heard a story about a guy who ate a snail and ended up dying from it. Yeah, insects in general actually carry a lot of parasites. There's a recent study published on insect farms. 80% of insects on these insect farms that are being sold for food have parasites. I think something like over 60% of them are transmissible to animals, and 30% of them are transmissible to humans. So insects in general, you should avoid eating, but yeah, snails do carry parasites that will they carry literal brain worms, and the worms will eat away at your brain.
All man-made, they don't exist in nature.
Instead of just raw meat, it's also...
What can you get out of those man-made vegetables?
Bosman, what's up,
Nothing
dude?
whatsoever, just some fiber and pesticides nowadays. And from the seeds, they are indigestible for the most part. Again, fiber, anti-nutrients, some carbohydrates, which are sugar, and then maybe a few minerals. But again, because of the anti-nutrients, you're really not going to get any out of the food. It's not even food.
important to note that just because our ancestors did something a certain way, doesn't mean that we have
Everything that our ancestors did is correct.
to. Can you imagine if we all lived our lives like we were Neanderthals?
Everybody would be healthier and happier.
Well, that's a story for another What If.
Alright, I tried.
He has a noticeable accent. Maybe the Iron Curtain should have survived longer.
Well, that wouldn't have affected anything, because like he is not from Germany. I think he was born in Latvia and he lived in Sweden for a while. But yeah, he should just be institutionalized. He really doesn't belong in society in general. Thanks for that donation though, Sam. Appreciate it.
I did not to act surprised, but I was actually really surprised to see myself in the video. Anyway, obviously it's...
Well, Sv3rige is literally wrong about all of that.